are listening to NUFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army. Live daily on the website, on YouTube, on BAB, and on every online radio directory. NUFC Talk, the voice of the Toon Army.
Good morning. Welcome one and all to the Eddie Howe Sunderland press conference, when no doubt we'll get into our usual bingo card. But before we do all that, let's get into the housekeeping. If you're joining us, please smash the bell on YouTube. Join us, become a member if you can afford to. We'll love to have the members. It keeps us going. And enjoy the show. Ian, we haven't seen you since Wednesday.
Well, I was on early on in the week quite a lot. I did the ratings with Michael after the game, straight after. But
Indeed.
yeah, I was absent yesterday.
And what was the thought? We haven't. I haven't heard your thoughts on
Well,
the
I don't know. I
game.
mean, I can't explain what they did. Afterwards, I'm wondering why Howe thought it wise to move his back four around when Livramento and Botman had kept the clean sheet at Chelsea. But that's hindsight. I was fully in agreement to bring Byrne and Trippier back. I think the teams had been picked for the previous 2 or 3 games for that to happen. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what happened. But it was a calamity, wasn't it? It wasn't. We were very exciting in the first half to get back into it, but I mean we gave all the goals away, and then yeah, what a dreadful 20 minutes to sit and watch when the second half started.
Yeah.
But
That
the
was
good
the killer.
news, which
That first 10 minutes was just 10, 15
yeah,
minutes was
awful.
awful.
But the good news that from yesterday, I've got 2 captive Sunderland supporters here in sunny Thirsk, who both came to point out the result in case I'd missed it. But neither of them were very scathing, because both of them fear that Newcastle will have a point to prove on Sunday and will take it out on Sunderland. They'll bounce back against Sunderland. So fingers crossed they're right, and we can, because I think we need to.
Well, that is what we are all hoping for, obviously. And it's the first of 8 Premier League fixtures. By and large, 1 a week. A nice 10 days or so after this match to regroup, get some time on the training ground that, a lot of people seem to think, Eddie, me included, in fact, seem to think Eddie needs with the players that he hasn't had this season with having Europe and whatnot. So let's hope it could be the launch pad, shall we say, for what could be a glorious end of season, or could be utter disaster, and see a lot more people, myself included, turning to the dark side.
Have we not seen Howe put a run of consecutive wins together every season since he's been here? He hasn't done it yet. He's got a run of fixtures. I know Arsenal are in the middle of it. But he's got a run of fixtures to finish the season off, I think, where he can win 7 of these 8. And I'm on record, aren't I, from last week, that we win 7 of the last 8. I've got that potentially putting us into 4th when I did all of the fixtures. There's a predictor you can get online, you can predict all the fixtures, because there's a lot of tough games for Villa, Chelsea, and Liverpool. I think they play each other now and again. I know Villa finish with Arsenal, Man City, which is a tough finish to the league. So there's points to be won for us, and we've got to win them all, bar the Arsenal game. But there's a lot of points to be dropped for those teams ahead of us, which I think means that there's enough scope, if we can put that sort of run together, for us to be qualifying for the Champions League by finishing in the top 5. Top 4 is possible. I've got my fiver on at 150 to 1 win.
And when we play Arsenal, could they have the Premier League sewn up And could they have
Well,
their eyes on
on the
semi-finals
Champions
and
League
quarter-finals
semi-final,
of the
yeah.
Champions League? A lot will depend on Sunday's result in the Carabao, because that potentially could have them going for the quadruple, the unprecedented quadruple. So they could have bigger fish to fry, shall we say, when we play them. And that I mean, I haven't got us. I'm not predicting we'll get anything from that game, but it could. Who knows? Who knows? But as you say, sort of Liverpool have got Man U, Chelsea, and Villa to play, and the small matter of their local derby with Everton. That's where they can potentially drop points. Chelsea,
They've got a lunchtime away at Brighton tomorrow, which is a tough match because Brighton have come a little bit back into form as well. So
yeah,
I just think that they're all and Liverpool. Let's be honest, Liverpool are. I know they looked really good against Galatasaray the first time. They didn't the second time. They didn't in Galatasaray, um, and they didn't really look very good drawn at home against Tottenham either. So I don't think they've just got to lose. They can only lose their points playing against their fellow top five members. Although there are enough of those games to put a real dent in what we're trying to catch up with. I think
yeah.
they've got some tough games. Apart from Arsenal, we haven't got anyone in the top 10 left to play, I don't think.
No, we've got
Bournemouth maybe is the name. Bournemouth and is the next, and Brighton are the next ones. It's all the
they're
guys,
both at home.
it's hopefully the guys who were on the beach. We've got Palace, I think, when we come back. Um, they're through into the quarterfinals of their Conference League, so maybe that is the Wednesday afterwards, and that's what they'll be worried about. Don't
And
know.
Forest we've got as well away, and they've got their eyes hopefully on the conference
Europa
as
League,
well. There's a
absolutely.
lot.
So
There's a lot of balls up in the air
I
that
mean,
could.
it needs Howe to manage the team to be consistent, which he hasn't managed yet this year. Although I would say that if you take the second half against Barcelona away, we have been pretty consistent over the course of the last 5 or 6 games. I think we're in good form.
Well,
I think we should have.
we're certainly in good form until minute 45 on
Yeah,
Wednesday,
don't
and then
really.
the
Yeah,
wheel
I
came off
think
in spectacular fashion.
big time, big time.
Yeah,
But I mean, what a journey to get to there. I've had a lot of fun watching them get through into the Champions League. Uh, draw a line on it. He's probably already done that. He's going to tell us he's done that this morning. That'll go on your bingo card. We've moved on from it quickly. Um, and let's focus on these last 8 games. I mean, 8 games. It's still 20% of the season left to play. So, it's not like we've left things too late. It would have been lovely to have beaten Everton, beaten Brentford, and been 6 points better off, of course, which we should have done just in recent weeks. But yeah, so maybe my blind faith has got no basis in reality. However, I mean, it's got basis that Howe puts a run of 5 and 6 wins together every season, and we've not had it yet. So why not? And we are on a run of 2 wins in the Premier League at the moment, anyway, and that was Man United and Chelsea, which are 2 good wins.
yeah, including an away performance,
Absolutely.
which was good to see. Uh, yeah,
Leon there, Leon saying how out, not really giving them all of the season to see what the season actually produces. Leon, we've only got to wait 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Let's see where we finish.
it's changing the
I think
manager now. Going to give us any better chance of getting into Europe?
it's going to give us no chance at all, is it? It's going to give us no chance at all. It'll give us, it'll give all of those players who've got a special relationship with him, like Bruno and Gordon, um, the perfect excuse to get themselves set up with somebody else for next year. I think we've got to see it through and assess in the summer. It might be that it's time for a change come the summer if there's a disappointing sort of sputtering out of the season and we end up finishing 10th or something. But you know, my blind faith plus
Foxy's
history.
taking you to task slightly there, saying Everton were apparently on the beach last game of last season. They nearly ruined our season, beating us. This whole thing, the teams have nothing to play for on the beach is wrong.
I agree. You can't rely on people not to turn up. That's
You
true.
definitely can't.
That Everton game was dreadful
Who
at
else
the end
we
of
got?
last
Let's
season,
say
though.
few hellos to people who are in. Choppy's in Dahus, as usual. Stevie Rackster's in. Lynn Simpson, morning. Who else we got?
Well in.
Sapiero, a must-win for Eddie or he's gone. Simple as that. The fan base is already 50-50. Don't know where you get that from. Losing to the unwashed again will be the straw that broke the camel's back. For me, the only reason it could be the straw that broke the camel's back is because it'll be another 3 points less that we can get in the quest to get up the table. So
I mean, if he loses badly, I think he might go, but I don't think he'll be sacked. I
no, I
think
don't
Howard
think he'll be
told you
sacked.
a month or two ago, when he feels that he's got the best out of the players and he can't get any more out of them and he's not helping the team, he'll walk away. So maybe that second half capitulation followed by being dreadful at home and losing against Sunderland would be what would trigger that. I don't think
Yeah.
so. I think Howe has worked without any infrastructure up until the chief exec and the sporting director have been appointed. They've only just got into position. Um, from his point of view, I think he's done phase one. He's looking forward to working on phase two. I don't think he's planning on going.
Well, I don't think he
You
is
know,
either, but I think if the results indicate that whatever he's doing and he thinks he's doing right, obviously, he wouldn't be doing it if he didn't think it was going to work. And if he finds it's not working, I think I don't think he'll ever be sacked. I think he will, as he said himself, and as you've just reiterated, he will just decide, look, that's it, I'm done. And off he'll trot.
I agree. And Lynn's just said, I think, was it Lynn? Um, I think he's here, whatever the result, and I think he's here next year as well. So do I, Lynn. The only way he'll go is if he decides it's time for him to go.
Yeah.
Whether that's right or not, we'll all have our own individual opinions on. But I do think that's where PIF are. They're not going to jettison somebody they've built this project around for 5 years like that.
There's an
It's going to have to
interesting
go badly
question
wrong,
from
isn't it?
All Right there. How much did Newcastle make from the Champions League? Let's see if we can find out. I think it'll be in the region of 40.
Well, I mean, no, getting past Karabag and into the round of 16 got us an extra 9 million, didn't it? Now we will
Yeah.
have picked up some money for drawing with Barcelona, as well as an extra 50 odd thousand in St James's Park. That would have helped. I don't think we get anything for being hammered 7-2, other than a share of the television money, of course.
Right, so they picked up a win bonus of 8.58 million for their 4 wins and 2 draws. And the 12th place finish earned them 5.96 million, so that's 14 million.
Yeah.
And a bonus of 870,000 for missing out on the top 8. That was the big thing that we missed out for, missing out on the top 8. But that's just prize money. And on top of that, you've got all of the gate money, share of gate money, and what do they call it? Facilities fees for the home games. So 50 north of 50 million is current earnings from this season Champion League run, north of 50 million, eclipsing what they earned during their previous campaign. in the old format. That's from the Shields Gazette. Yeah, so north of 50 million is and that's about the figures that I was expecting to have heard. So yeah, it's a lucrative old game. Like I say, if we could have got a result at Barcelona, those 2 goals themselves would have paid, this overpaid fee that we've allegedly paid for Elanga. That would have been it all returned in one. And that's how
That's big.
that's
That really is just an if, isn't it? Though, Win. Let's be fair.
yeah.
I mean, I think we were fabulous in the first half going forward, and we were still behind when we went in at half time.
Yeah.
So, like I say, that's gone, and that was a dreadful, dreadful defensive performance, particularly in the second half. But the whole game, for me, we weren't very good in the first half. I think we gave them all of their goals. But it's finished. You've got to draw that line now, and maybe that's signs are good. Beat Sunderland, have 3 weeks off, have Bruno and Miley back in the team when we come back. 7 games, other than Arsenal, 6 very winnables. And we might well get a little bit of encouragement every week when Villa and Liverpool and Chelsea keep dropping the points that are not expecting them to drop. I mean, Chelsea aren't in a good place at the minute, are they?
No, they're not. And Chelsea have got. Let me have a look at this. Chelsea. They've got Everton. They start off with Everton away tomorrow.
It's tough.
Then they've got City, the 2 Manchesters at home, City at home, Man U at home, Brighton away, Forest at home, Liverpool away, Spurs at home, local derby, but they do finish away at the Mackhams, so there's a few points they've got there.
Look at the points that could drop in the next 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
We could be going into that Arsenal game ahead of Chelsea.
Indeed. Like I say, I've got a running spreadsheet that I did when we had how many 12 games to go. And right now we are on track, according to me, to finish 7th. But that's because I'm giving all of the other teams as much optimism as I'm giving Newcastle in terms of I'm saying we'll win all 7 and lose to Arsenal. But I'm doing more or less exactly that with the other teams against any form of lower opposition and especially at home. So a lot of those results so far, the ones that have come in so far, have been very unpredictable, except for us, which have been unpredictable the other way, because I predicted we wouldn't get anything at Stamford Bridge, and of course we got 3 points. But I did predict 3 points for Everton, and we didn't get any, so that kind of balanced out. We are on track, but there's a lot of the teams a lot less.
How many points? 66, is it? 66 points? I've got us at 66 points.
I've got us at 63.
What are we on now? 42?
2 secs.
42 and 21 it would be, wouldn't it? Yeah, 63.
Yeah,
I've got it at 63 as well.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you said 66.
66 is the max we can get, I think.
Yeah. Avid's, if we beat Arsenal. Avid's saying people look at how improved players. I think it's because the manager before, Mr. Greggs, was so rubbish that any decent manager, half decent manager, could have got more of a tune out of the players. So it's not just it's solely down to Howe. Well, it is solely down to Howe because he was the one that did it.
When Dan Burn played for 30 or got to 30 years old playing for other teams and nowhere near the England squad. So there's one case in point.
Indeed, a Rooney. Again, all of the names are being touted. What's this one? Leon. Howe needs to go at the end of the season. Newcastle have conceded the most goals in the top 5 leagues in 2026. Yeah?
Well, I would say that would mean that Shah needs replacing, and we need another right-sided centre back. We need backup for both of the full-backs. That's what I would say. That is a poor defensive performance. I mean, I know Eddie Howe was a centre
But
half,
I
but he
don't
hasn't been wearing
understand it.
his boots for a long time.
I don't understand the premise, though. The top 5 leagues and the most goals. Well, just in the Premier
Top
League
5
alone.
leagues in Europe. Top 5 leagues in Europe, he means.
Yeah,
but he's probably added 9 off Barcelona, 8 off Barcelona in there, which of course we've
all
conceded those 8 goals.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
know.
but the
I
reason
don't
we've
know how he's worked
conceded
that out.
the reason we've conceded more goals in all competitions is because we've probably gone further. We've played more games than
We
anybody
have
else in
played more
Europe.
games. We've played more games than any other team in Europe. 56, I think the Barcelona one was. Is it 55, 56?
46, I think, wasn't it? I think it was 46.
50 something. Can't remember. I can't remember, but it
Well,
is
wait a
more than
minute.
anybody
When
else has
we
had.
played Man United,
Yeah, it
at
was
that stage
45.
we had played 45 to their 30.
Right.
I remember
So
that
we did
stat.
Barcelona, Chelsea, and Barcelona. So we've done 48 now.
Yeah.
We've
So
conceded
that's more
43
than any
goals in
other team in Europe.
2026. But it's because we've played in the Champions League and nobody else has played in the Champions League. Well, I mean, some few have, obviously. But I think we are 49th game on Sunday, Chromatone.
Yeah. Where are we? Yeah.
We're all worried about that, Paul. But don't worry about it. Newcastle have finished in the top 6. And we'll get rid of the
Insane.
players we
I
want
think
to get rid of to
regardless
bring
of
the cash in
Sunday,
to improve the squad.
Eddie's in. I also think he'll be here regardless next season unless he walks. So I think that's the one you already did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Dan Snowden, face-saving comment saying he'll walk away. He'll be advised to leave and it'll go down as mutual consent or resignation. I don't think so. By the end of the season, he'll be the Messiah again with 1 game a week now. There you go. But that's a worry. That's a
That's where
worry
I
for
am,
me.
Mark.
Because as me and Bogey had this debate, supposing we don't make Europe, just supposing we don't make Europe, so we're back to 1 game a week. Who do you think the best manager is for Newcastle in the event of us having 1 game a week? And
I know.
the obvious answer is Eddie Howe, because the twice he's had 1 game a week, we've finished in the Champions League, 2 cup finals. So do you do that? And
Yeah,
when he gets to Europe this time, you say, right, thanks a lot, ta-ra.
to be fair, when he was in the Champions League, is that not when we finished where we should have been in Europe, but Man U won the FA Cup in 15th place or something and pinched
Yeah,
the
we
Europa
finished
League
7th
place that we could have
the
got?
following year.
So, I mean, that was unfortunate that we didn't get into the Conference League. Of course, we would have had a European trophy if we got in the Conference League.
Well,
Maybe.
we'll see how well
Um,
Crystal Palace do, but I don't think there's a lot of competition there, as you quite rightly say. Let me just see what's going on at the training ground. I haven't even seen
I
anything.
think blaming Howe not being good enough for 3 games a week is harsh. I mean, it's an adjustment. It's a huge adjustment for all of those players to get through the whole season with basically just recovery in between games and walking through tactically, not being able to work on anything. That's a massive change to how those players have trained and played in the past. So I don't think you can blame it just on Howe that's tough, because it is tough, but it's tough for the whole lot of them. And some of the Newcastle players now have done it 2 times, so maybe the third time we've done much better, I think, this year than we did in the first go at the Champions League. I think we've adjusted. It's all a learning curve, and I think we're all learning together. I think Howe looks like he's learned how to rotate now, which was a criticism earlier on in the season.
So you would argue that he has learned how to rotate.
Well, certainly that team that he put out, the midfield that he put out when they played Chelsea, and he missed. I mean, I know Tonali was ill, but he left Joe Linton on the bench. I was worried sick when I saw who he
Me
played to
too.
go to Chelsea. I thought he'd thrown it because he wanted everyone fit for Barcelona, and maybe he did. But the players responded. Willock was great that day. Ramsey was great that day, and that was a really good win to beat Chelsea. And it meant that Joe Linton could start fit to get booked in the first 15 minutes and not be able to be effective. But that's what's happened on the pitch. Again, it's
Our
really
top man Connor is saying we shall see if PIF are serious this summer. If Howe is still here, then they are not that bothered, in my opinion. And
I don't think you
Eddie
can.
is
I don't think you can
in the
judge until
house.
that final game is played. Because if Howe gets us into fifth place and qualifies for the Champions League again, having reached the round of 16, got to the semi-finals of the Carabao, I don't see how people can point to them and say he's a complete failure,
Absolutely
which
not.
is what
Yeah,
the Howe out people are trying to say, that he can't cope. If he gets us up into fifth and sixth, that is, we're still overachieving in comparison to the wages that we're paying just in the Premier League in isolation.
yeah.
So, and I don't think you can judge that 20 minutes or 20% of the season still to play. We've got some very winnable games.
Indeed, a Rooney. Well, he's in the building, but they're late. Oh no, they're not. Still got 2 minutes. Oh good, yeah. We need a stadium announcement and no more talk. Talk is cheap. Plus the training ground. Well, the training ground has kind of been announced, hasn't it?
They could all. Why can't they organise a sponsor of the training ground whilst it's just on paper? It could be then
Yeah,
referred to as the such and such training ground whilst it's being built, and we get sponsorship in straight away. That's
well,
another chunk of cash to come in to help PSR do the same thing with the stadium if they're going to do a new stadium. But they haven't made that decision yet. Probably have, but they haven't told us.
and this
Yeah,
is what
that's
I
one
said.
thing we
I
have been
mean,
behind
when
on.
Hopkinson came in, one of the first things he did was sack Silverstone because he has failed abysmally in that respect in terms of getting brand leading sponsors for the training ground,
Yeah.
training kit. These are revenue sources that are there waiting.
Yeah, well, he's done 6 months now, so we need to start seeing some results on it rather than just
Talk.
getting rid of the bloke that didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I think they have one now, Gromitone. Don't know what that means.
Oh, and here we go, gentlemen.
Good morning. Morning. Morning, lads.
Can you hear that, Ian?
Morning. Morning, David.
Morning, everyone. Welcome back. Ahead of the match with Sunderland on Sunday. We'll start with Race. We will add Sundays on as well, so if you have a question, if you can keep it back, then great. And just a reminder, single questions where possible.
Can I just query that?
Yes.
Because it is now one press conference a week. It's not going to be as many press conferences.
But we've probably had 4 per week
This
on
is a
average
big game.
up until this point. They're all big games, Luke.
This is a massive game.
So one question, because we're adding Sundays. I know we can do with Sundays. You decide.
Which one do? Who needs Sundays?
Okay, Razor. Thank you.
Good morning, Eddie. Firstly, can you talk to us about Sandro Tonali and how he is doing and whether he could be available for the derby?
Yeah, we'll wait and see. Hopefully not as bad as maybe we first feared when I saw him limping off the pitch. See how he is today, and then make a decision closer to the game.
And I think just following up on what you said midweek, Lewis Miley, is there any chance that he could be available, or will it be after the internationals?
It'll be after the internationals for Louis. We anticipate he will be back, hopefully, after the break. And fingers crossed the same for Bruno and also for Fabian.
It's such a massive match and occasion for you. How do you ensure that what happened, particularly in the second half against Barcelona, doesn't affect you negatively going into Sunday?
Yeah, we've got a bit of work to do, I think, psychologically with the players off the back of what was a really strange game to digest and review. I think the players will hopefully have learnt from a lot of similar games this season, you know, in the respect that we've had an incredible group of games where we've had to leave one game very quickly and focus on the next. That's a sort of a skill, I think, to be able to do that, to park it and move on to the next one. We're going to have to do that really quickly for this one and effectively, because the game will be on us before we know it. It's a 12 o'clock kickoff, very quick turnaround. So a bit of work to do today and tomorrow with the players, but I think by kickoff we'll be fine.
Thank you. Keith Downey.
Eddie, Sunderland are 10 games unbeaten in the Premier League against Newcastle. I know that outdates you, doesn't outdate sort of many of us in this room. It's a pretty incredible record. Is that something that you'll use as motivation ahead of Sunday? Of course, a record that you're going to want to end.
Yeah, of course. The focus for us is to try and win the game. Looking back at past records and results, I'm all for one for doing that if I feel it can help us, and there may well be some use in that. But I think every game is so different and every game is unique, and the next one is the most important. I think for us, we've got to try and recover physically, recover mentally, as we've already discussed. The players will be in no doubt the size of the game, and I think reinforced by what happened earlier on the season against them. I think that for any new player that maybe wasn't fully aware of how big the game is will now certainly be aware, and sometimes only experience can give you that. The players will be ready for this game, and we know we need to be.
I think what's been a bit of a talking point in these last couple of weeks is 2-year summer signing strikers Voltemad and Wissa not getting off the bench in either of the games against Barcelona. How are they dealing with that mentally? I guess it's not a situation that they would want. Is it a sort of big test of your management skills at the moment?
No, of course. Look, every player wants to play the biggest games. I think Nick's had a lot of football this year, and Nick just off the back of playing against Chelsea, and I thought he played really well. So I think that in different circumstances, I wouldn't put them necessarily together. Of course, Johan's had a big injury, and I've said many times here, I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. Hopefully that will come. I think, as I say, I'd look at them independently rather than together. I think they've both got big parts to play in the close of this season. We've got 8 games to go, 8 massive games for us. We've now only got the Premier League to focus on. We're going week to week, so we'll be training for the first time in a long, long time. I think that's positive for us. And I just think collectively we've got to focus on the rest of the season.
Lewis Hall called up to the England squad this morning, a real opportunity for him to stake a claim for the World Cup. How do you feel about that?
Sorry,
Lewis Hall.
Yeah. I mean, Lewis has had a really good last few weeks. I think his performances have been excellent, and I think going back to the first half against Barcelona, he's playing against one of the best players in the world in his position. I thought he was really good going forward. I thought it was a great challenge for him defensively. He'll only get better for experiences like that. And of course, the national team is, I'm sure, one of his big aims. And let's wait and see what happens today.
Thank you. Justin?
A bit of anger and a bit of frustration, if used correctly, can they sometimes be a bit of a good emotion to go into a derby with?
Yeah, I think a mixture. I think you need a little bit of everything. the anger, yes. The emotion, yes. The passion, yes, of course. And then you need to control it, and you need to be measured at times as well, because too much of one can be a negative. I think this game will be possibly a great game off the back of what happened on Wednesday for us, because there's no time to dwell or think too much of the past. It's all about the future and making sure that we train really well today and tomorrow, and we go into the game in a good frame of mind, because we can't carry any baggage in this game. This is going to be hard enough and big enough for us just to focus on this.
The Sunderland manager said some very complimentary things about you. Any kind of view on him and his season so far?
Well, I think when you look at the season as a whole, I think Sunderland have had a very, very good season, because it's very tough. And I know from personal experience, the jump from the Championship to the Premier League is big. To be competitive, to get consistent results is very tough to do as a newly promoted team. I think they've handled that really, really well. Of course, they beat us early season. We know how tough that game was against them. So I think we need to use all of that. We need to use the experience of that first game, all the emotion that we felt afterwards, which was really, really painful. We need to use that too. And we're going to need a big effort.
And one final thing, a derby at St James's is unlike any other for atmosphere. Will you have time to kind of soak that up a little bit and enjoy that side of it, or are you way too focused on what's in store?
Yeah, I don't really get sort of chance to absorb the atmosphere. My thoughts are totally, I'm aware of it, of course, but my thoughts are very much trying to help the team and the players, and being aware of like tactically what you need to do to try and help your team. So I'm sort of not sat there enjoying it, and unless we're playing really well and the game's over, and that hasn't been many times this season where we've been able to enjoy sort of the last few minutes of the game. So yeah, all focused on trying to deliver a really good performance.
Thanks, Justin. Adam?
Hi, Eddie. Just spell out why you think this particular game on Sunday will be the biggest league game for Newcastle this season.
Well, I think it's for our supporters, for the whole city here. We know as soon as the fixtures came out that this was one that was really looked at and in the mind of everybody. So we have to play for all of our people in this game, and that's how I see it. We're focused on doing that. We're focused on trying to deliver a great performance, showing the passion that I mentioned earlier, with control, with quality. I think they're going to be key ingredients.
And what sort of reaction are you expecting from your players following the evening in the new camp the other day?
Well, in terms of reaction, I think we just need to regroup. We need to, as always, look at some of the positives. And I know we've lost the game 7-2, but for the first half we were more than a match for Barcelona. It was a very even game. It was a great execution, as I said after the game, for me, of what we want to do, how we want to play. Our bravery in and out of possession, I thought was excellent. But of course we need to learn from the second half as well. We need to learn what went wrong, why we didn't adapt quickly enough, and the individual errors that we made can't happen again.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you. I'll go to Damien, George, and then to Lee, please.
Hi, Eddie. On a similar theme, what have you learnt from the Champions League game campaign, and particularly the two Barcelona games, that you'll need to take on board if you're to compete at that level on a sustained basis?
Give me a little bit more sort of context to that.
Where do you need to improve to be able to compete on a level with those teams?
Yeah, well, I think we've got a bit of work to do. That's for sure, because I think without looking and comparing ourselves against those teams, firstly we have to earn the right to qualify for those tournaments and to be in the mix, to be there. And I think that in itself is really, really tough to do when you look at the teams we're competing with in the Premier League. Then when you compare ourselves to the elite teams in Europe, I think we have some work to do in all aspects of the football club. We've got and it's nothing that everybody wouldn't be aware of. We have to raise standards all across the board at the football club. Invariably with that comes a cost. So everything's interlinked. But from my side, in trying to sort of coach the team and navigate our way through seasons, it's about elevating standards of behaviour, elevating standards of my work, the coaching staff's work, and of course passing that on to the players.
Thank you. George?
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
so many incredible moments for the team under your management. There have been a few disappointments. Very rare that you could say that the first team might have let fans down. Do you have that feeling about the first game at Sunderland? How much does that sting, and how much determination is there to put that right?
Yeah, I'd agree with that, George. I think we did in that game. I don't think there's any doubt about it. We didn't reach the standards and level of performance that we would pride ourselves on. And the main thing, you just heard me say it many, many times over the years, is effort, commitment, winning our individual duels, winning the battle on the pitch. You can do all of those things and still lose, but you leave with a feeling that we left it all out on the pitch. And 9 times out of 10 this season, albeit so many games, I feel the players have delivered that. That was one of a collection of small games, I think, this year where we've been disappointed with ourselves. And then it's a process you go through to sort of mourn that loss and that performance and then analyse it and come back stronger, and that's what we've tried to do.
Yeah, Eddie, do you think with some of the players you have to drum in the fact that the enormity of losing a derby at home, it's massive, it could be a game changer in terms of the mood of the city? Do you have to drum that into the players a little bit? Because the first game, for me, they didn't look like they grasped what was in front of them on that match.
Yeah, I think they did. I think they did know the enormity of the game, but for whatever reason, we didn't perform to our normal level. And no excuses on that, Lee. We have to take accountability for that. I'm not sure drumming them in, that message into them, is actually a positive or the right thing to do, because that's just a very negative message. I'd much prefer to go with a positive message, because we need to inspire the players, not put fear into them. So it's a very delicate balance with teams and professional athletes. What do you want them to think going into a game? You certainly don't want them to think we can't lose. You want them to think I've got to play at my best level, I've got to execute my best game. All those positive emotions, that's what we'll be trying to flood into the players.
Thanks, Lee. I'll go to Craig, Luke and Jordan, please.
Morning, Eddie. It's following a sort of similar theme to what Lee touched on there, but with regards to yourself, in many ways, everything you thought the derby was on December the 13th, what do you think of it now, given that experience? And there was a sting in the tail. What did that game, that experience, the fallout from it, how did that change your perception of this fixture?
I'm trying to give you due consideration to absorb your question there, Craig. How did it change my view of the fixture? I don't think it necessarily did. I think the fallout of it was long and painful, and it certainly didn't help us. So I think there's sort of an extra weight with the fixture, in a sense that, if you don't perform, there will be a large and painful sort of baggage that goes with you, and we don't want that. Of course we don't, because that affects future performances. It affects the emotion and feeling of the whole city. So we want all the positive emotions of that can carry us on a new run and a new wave of optimism. So I think then you sort of know you're going into the game on a knife edge, and in some respects that can bring out the best in your players. And I think that's, again, following on from my answer to Lee, it's all the positive emotions, it's all the positive feelings, because it could be a turning point in our season, very much for the better.
Good answer in the end.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
It might take me a while to clarify what I want to say here. Just picking up, it's kind of picking up what Craig said there. I've read quite a lot of the fallout from the Barcelona game. There's been a temptation to sort of write Newcastle off as an elite force, to write off this season, to say that you're a mid-table club. But actually, if you look at where you are in the league, you've really closed the gap with recent results to the top 6, to the top 7. Is this a chance really to just bookend this period of the season and actually go into the run-in in a sort of really strong position where you can prove that you are a European club again? Did that make sense?
Yeah, it made perfect sense. I think it sort of tails on from my answer. We're playing the same game here of what I've just said to Craig, because the positive of this game for us could be huge. Not just the feeling around the city, but the feeling about ourselves. If we can win 3 games in a row in the Premier League, which we haven't been able to do consistently, that run of games that we've done from near enough every season that I've been here has helped us so much in the Premier League, and we've got an opportunity to do that. So I want to be I want to be positive. I want the players to feel that, and I want the players to feel that this could be a turning point for the positive. With just such few games to go, we could close the gap, and who knows where that could take us.
Thanks, Luke. We'll go to Jordan, Dom Skur and Dom Short. Jordan?
Hi, just off the pitch, there was reports from Brazil yesterday that Bruno was in advanced talks with Manchester United. How do you respond to that and the speculation surrounding his future?
I don't even know how to respond to that. I don't even think I should, because it's a waste of my energy. Bruno's our captain. He's fully committed. He's injured at the moment. His only focus is coming back to fitness.
Thank you. Dom?
Morning, Eddie. You said after the defeat at the Stadium of Light in December that the result would not define your season. Similar question to previous, but is there an understanding that another defeat on Sunday would absolutely define your season?
Yeah, again, I don't know how to answer that. People will define seasons in different ways. I'm not contemplating defeat. I don't know how I can sit here and do that. I'm contemplating trying to win the game and trying to get real momentum into our Premier League season.
Thank you. Dom?
Hi, Eddie. I know you're touching it a bit with Luke there, but you're fighting on one front now. Does it almost feel like this is the start of a mini-season? And with that in mind, what is success? What would success look like in these remaining games? Is it only qualifying for the Champions League? Would qualifying for Europe in full, in general, be success?
Yeah, I think you're possibly right. I think it's a different phase for us this season. We've been used to playing every 2, 3, 4 days relentlessly. Players have handled that really well, I have to say, in every way. I was speaking to Keith earlier in an interview, praising the players' professionalism, how they've looked after their bodies, their minds, their everything. It's just been a real test for us, and I have to compliment the players on that. But now we're going to a different phase. Playing once a week is will be slightly strange for us to train again. We'll be with big numbers. Will be really enjoyable actually, and we'll look forward to getting back to that when we can. We hope that will help our performances back into the Premier League, and we can finish the season strongly. What success? Success for me, targeting these 8 games we have left, is to try and win every one.
Thank you. Go to Martin, Sean, and then Gary, please.
Morning, Eddie. Do you personally feel pressure going into this game?
I feel pressure, Martin, going into every game, every press conference, every training session. It's part of the job. So you've got to be able to be resilient enough to absorb that and still find a way to enjoy the job, to enjoy the challenges that the job brings. I think I've sort of become used to that through time. And then, when you're going into games, some have, I think, bigger consequences than others, but I always enjoy the bigger games. I loved it. Didn't love the result, but I loved the game against Barcelona. I loved the first 45 minutes and was thinking this could go down as one of our best ever performances in that moment. And it's amazing how football can turn even within 90 minutes. But now we have to reflect on that and then move forward very quickly to this one. And by the time kickoff comes around, we'll be ready.
Thanks, Martin. Sean?
Morning. You mentioned the fallout from the last game against Sunderland. Were you surprised by the reaction to the result and the performance that day? And is there anything that you feel like you've learned from that first experience that you can use to your advantage on Sunday?
No, I don't think I was overly surprised because of the way we performed. I knew immediately that, the way we performed in the game wasn't good. It wasn't a great spectacle of us. We didn't attack with anywhere near our normal rhythm. It was, I think, a moment in the season, without totally remembering where we were, the games around that game, where we were struggling a little bit for our attacking game. The fallout was quite long and painful, but as I said, we tried to use that in every experience to try and help us. So obviously we don't want that feeling again, and we need to make sure that our preparation for this game is as good as it can be to help the players.
Thank you. Gary? No. Just do one for Sunday. Yeah, okay, we'll move on to Sunday's broadcasters. If you can flag your desks, this is embargoed till 10:30 p.m. on Saturday evening. Start, Gary.
Hi, ready. With Forest, Villa and Palace all winning last night, that virtually ensures that the top 5 will be Champions League qualification, which I'm sure is, throws down the gauntlet to your squad. But given these reports, someone mentioned earlier about the one in Brazil with Bruno, etc., is your message still to players, any player, go and prove your Champions League players by getting us back there?
Yeah, it is. I think that's very much the way to look at it for our players' perspective. I hear a lot of questions about, well, if you don't do this, then this player will think this, and I think, well, I don't understand that. The only way that our players show their Champions League players collectively and individually is to play like them. And that means us achieving that goal. So we have big games left in the Premier League. We've got some momentum. We need that to really grow for us to have a chance to make the top 5.
Thank you. Damien?
Eddie, you'd have been aware of the Derby rivalry when you arrived here. What have you learnt about the depth of it in your time here, and are your lads steeped in it now?
That's a good question, Damien. Thanks for something slightly different. My boys don't I mean, they're massive Newcastle fans now, of course. I don't think the Sunderland thing has totally grabbed them yet. I think it will as they probably get a bit older and they fully understand it a bit more. Maybe Sunday could be the turning point for them. But I think when you're at the outside, when you're, obviously I was Bournemouth manager for a long time, and you're seeing this game from a long way off, you think it's a big rivalry, you think it's a huge game. It's only when you come here you realise that it's much bigger than you think. And I think you can only think that when you're in it, when you're absorbed in it, when you're feeling it like we are now. So I think they're great games. I've experienced both sides, a win and a defeat. I know which side I want to be on.
John?
Heidi, can you just talk about how Nick dealt with the own goal in December and how desperate is he to play on Sunday?
Nick dealt really well with it, I think, because it was it's tough for any player to go through that. He's, I have to say, his character is amazing. I really enjoy working with him. I think he's a really special guy. He's got great qualities. He's very positive. Even in difficult moments like that one, even in challenging moments where he's, in recent weeks where he's not played as much as he wants, he's been first class, he's trained really well. He'll be ready to take the pitch and do his best for the team in every moment, and he's got the quality to make the difference.
Thank you. Sean and then Luke, please.
Joe Linton said in an interview earlier this year that obviously he missed the derby. He was an unused substitute that day as he was recovering from injury. That it hurts a lot, and he's been thinking about that fixture a lot. How big of a miss was he that day, and the qualities he possesses, I guess, sort of the combative midfielder? How important is he going to be on Sunday for your chances?
Yeah, Joe's a massive player for us in these big games. I think going back to that game, he's a player that we couldn't use. We had a few instances like that this season where big players have not been able to help us, and there's nothing more frustrating if you're them, when you feel you can make the difference, when you feel you can bring different qualities maybe that the team are missing, and you're not able to deliver that. I know Bruno's feeling that frustration currently. It'll be the same for Louis Miley, for Fabian. Huge players for us that we've really missed. But I think if you are then able to deliver a performance and you are fit, then that should give you extra incentive, because for Joe now, who's in a really good place and playing well for us, he'll have all of that stored in him that he can potentially be the difference maker. And we're looking for all our players to stand up and be potential match winners for us.
Luke?
Just picking up on that Bruno saga, I know you're being very polite there, and you're sort of biting your tongue almost in terms of the nonsense of the story.
That was me being unpolite, if that's a word.
Well, you seem very polite. So can I ask you to be unpolite?
No, I'm not going to be. Is unpolite a word?
Impolite is the word.
You should have put me. You're using poor grammar there. No, I'm not. I'm not going to be, because I don't think it's the forum to do that in. But for me, it's a nonsense story.
It just seems that it does seem to be open season on linking Newcastle players. Last time you blamed me for it, I thought rather unfairly.
Did I?
Yeah, and asked me to explain the media industry to you, which I'm not qualified to do. But it does. Is that a problem for the club, that your players are constantly, and it is every week at the moment, it's a different player is being linked with clubs?
What was the question? Is it a problem for us?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's a problem for us, but it's unwanted news, I suppose, is the best way to put it. You don't want your players distracted. I don't know how much they'll absorb that, but for me, it's not the time to think about that. In the summer, you can sort of understand those stories a little bit more because the transfer window's open. But to say our captain's in discussions with another club, I think is totally disrespectful to Bruno more than anybody else. He's totally committed here.
Thank you. Last couple got a Dom and Lee.
You've touched on Fabian Schär's injury. Could you just expand on how he's doing? He's obviously been out in the Middle East recently, and is the Palace game a realistic target for him?
Yeah, he's been working hard. I mean, he was in the Middle East training. Of course, that was difficult for him, but he's back, doing well. Yeah, I think he's feeling good about his body. He's feeling good on his rehab. He's certainly been a big miss for us, Fabi. He's such a great user of the ball, and his passing range has been a huge miss to the team. And also his character. He's a great lad and really well liked by his teammates. So hopefully we can get him fit. We've got a good period of training time with him potentially. So the Palace game, I'm sure, will be a target for him. Whether that's realistic or not, let's wait and see.
Lee?
Yeah, Eddie, just a football question really on the sort of tone of the game. I mean, you've got to get that first tackle exactly right. You've got to set the tone. I mean, the fans will do everything they normally do, but it starts with the players, doesn't it? And it starts with that first tackle. I've got that in my head for some reason.
You haven't you? Yeah. You'll be watching for that first one. Yeah, I think the intention has to be there. I get your point. I think for us, there's also an element of control, and you want the players not to be reckless. We've got to keep 11 men on the pitch. All the things that you'd have heard before that are really important to give us the best chance of winning. And also, I know people will, of course, talk about the sort of the physical side, but also as a technical delivery is really important. Our quality on the ball, which I actually thought was really good against Barcelona for 45 minutes. It went away a little bit in the second half as the game got away from us, but our technical delivery was really high. And they're key things to help us play well. So we need to remember all aspects of our game in amongst the atmosphere.
Can I just ask quick as well, are you pleased that it's a 12 o'clock kick-off? Because you're not going to be sitting around all day thinking about it. You just get up, go to the stadium and play.
Yeah, I mean, the kick-off times are relevant to me. I really like the night games for us at home. I think they're really special. So I'm slightly disappointed it's not a night game, but I suppose if it's not going to be played then an early game's good, because I think I don't really know why, but trying to put a positive spin on it.
Right, thanks everyone. See you Sunday. Cheers.
Thank you.
And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the first thing I would say about that, Ian, is that in contrast to the previous three pressers, when Eddie's demeanour had returned to being his kind of bubbly self, we saw a very, very dour, defensive Eddie Howe, as if he was almost ready to face the brickbats. What do you think?
One or two comments whilst we were listening to that coming through from the other people listening to it about not really saying anything, about him being bold, some underarm questions rather than anything tough. I mean, everybody in the room may just have said Barcelona can do that to you in the second half and move straight on from it. Nobody asked why he changed his defence, which had just put in the best defensive performance of the season, and then two of the four were changed. So yeah, I think he got a bit of an easy ride on it in terms of questioning how we went out, the manner of how we went out. But then he's acknowledging that we've got to put a line under that. Good to think he's still focused on getting a top 5 position. Like I keep saying, that's definitely on. A lot of the journos seem to have missed the fact that that possibility exists. It only exists for as long as we keep winning games, of course. So this is why the Sunderland game is massive.
Just
I don't think you.
Just to go back to your thing, because as you say, there were a lot of comments. These journalists are frightened to ask tough questions. Should have been asked about the Nagelsmann comments and how we would play Voldemort, as Eddie hasn't a clue what to do with them. And good old Borky was in there. This is pointless. Let's all back Howe by asking easy questions. Seems to be the presser's agenda. And there were multiple comments, as you rightly said in the chat there, saying, what are these journalists doing? Why are they frightened to ask the difficult questions? And I think that's it's a bit of a how can I put it? It's a bit of a slight at the journalists, but we know from what a couple of them have said that their kind of position in the hierarchy, and indeed even getting asked questions, does depend to a large degree on the questions they ask. We noticed George Corkin there saying how Eddie blamed him for one little incident. And Eddie said, "Did I?" So yeah, the I don't know. It didn't. I think, in common with a lot of the viewers and listeners, it didn't fill me with a lot of confidence, shall we say. Toon Nut was saying
he's got to be careful in his presser. He's being non-controversial, isn't he? He's been non-controversial. He could have had a real go at whoever it is that's talking about Bruno being it. But as he said at the very end there, it's just been disrespectful to Bruno to suggest that he might be in discussions with Manchester United.
Yeah,
He doesn't want
this,
what he says in the press conference to take away or deflect.
Yeah. Richie's saying you do indeed have a lot of work to do, which is what he said. You can start by getting on the touchline and making yourself known, because that was a big criticism of Eddie in the reaction, that as this was going on, the start of the second half, he, unlike some of the more demonstrative managers, he wasn't up and screaming, shouting at the players, and I just think that's not his style. Whether it needs to be is another matter. What do you think? Do you think we need to see
Well,
more?
I think he was
passion?
definitely. He was there against Chelsea, wasn't he? I don't know how. I don't know. Did he need to be shouting and screaming on the pitch? I mean, when you see Rosenua doing that for Chelsea and making his notes and things, he just becomes a figure of fun, really. So I don't know. There's two sides to it. Of course, I'd love Eddie to be very, very passionate, but we know that he's detached, isn't he? He tries for him never to be the story, and let the players do the talking on the pitch, which they have done in recent weeks. So yeah, I mean, you can't have a personality transplant and be a completely different manager to what we've seen for the last 4 years. And he isn't somebody who shouts and bawls at everybody. It's all kept in house. I'm sure he'll be having a serious conversation with Bruno about whether he's been talking to Man United. And the last thing he'll do is say, actually, he has, if he's found out that he has. So I don't know. I mean, these press conferences, they're a little bit of a routine that he has to go through. He's never going to give anything away on it. And he certainly won't want whatever he says in this press conference to deflect away from the preparation that they've got to do today and tomorrow for Sunday's game. So I don't know what people are expecting them to do in it. Yes, it was pretty dull. And he said all of the right things, that Sunderland's a big game, that we've got points to play for, we can do some training. This is all true.
He
Let's see
did
if he
say
can
that
put it into practice.
One thing that I took from, he did say that some of the players who've just joined recently, who didn't appreciate the significance of the match. He said that after the Sunderland display, all of a sudden he was getting the impression that they'd all saying, "Bloody hell!" We didn't realise that it was as intense as that. Kevin Bell saying, I actually can't remember when the last time we beat Sunderland was. Was it Ryan Taylor? Terrible record if it is. Well, we beat them 3-0, of course, in the Cup, but as far
That was
as
the last
league,
time in the
league
Premier
games,
League, and
it's
the reason
league games at
we
St
haven't won for
James's
so long,
Park is because they've been in the third
we've
division.
not been in the Premier League. Yeah,
Aye.
that's why we've not played them for so long. We did play them in the FA Cup, didn't we? We won 3-0.
Yeah,
It was
that was there.
it
But
was
at St
quite funny.
James's Park, the last time that we won was Kevin Nolan's hat trick when we beat them
Wow.
5-1. So that was the last time we beat them in the league at St James's Park. After that, we
I
had a
think
go.
it's that sort of score again on Sunday, by the way. I'm fully convinced that Howe's just got to say, everybody in Europe thinks you're rubbish. Go and show them that you're not.
Mhm.
And against a Sunderland team low on confidence, what they're probably in a relegation space if you look at the current form tables.
17th current form.
I think we'll batter them.
Yeah, I make
Don't
you
clip
right.
that and play it if we don't, of course, please.
Dan Snowden saying, yeah, more games and slightly harder fixtures is what we've had. Bear in mind we played City 4 times. So that's how the run is coming together. When you're forgetting we had Isaac then I think this refers back to when we're saying he's always put a run together. You're forgetting we had Isaac then. Kind of phrases say, coefficients are... Yeah, you're not allowed to talk about coefficients though, because Bokey will shoot you down in flames. We shouldn't be relying on other teams. But they are looking even better after last night's results. All the English teams progressing. So we're almost certain now to get 5th place, which was mentioned by one of the journos. And, what it does is it makes the quest for this mini season coming up that much more in focus, if you like, for me anyway, and I hope for the players.
Well, I mean, it does. You start an 8-game season now, and look at the teams we're playing, and you'd hope that we'd have 6 or 7 wins out of that. Have a look at the match. You went through what? Who was it that who Liverpool have got to play, or who Chelsea have got to play each other at some stage. Villa have got an awful set of games. They've finished with City and Arsenal. The teams above us have all got points to drop.
Villa have got a relatively easy next 4, I would argue. They've got West Ham, Forest, Mackhams, and Fulham, and even Spurs, you could argue, and Burnley. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I would say, winnable games then, before they've then got Liverpool and City. So they've got a terrible last 2 games, but they could pick up points. But they haven't been doing so. You know, they got beat off Wolves, they got beat off Chelsea, they got beat off Man United in their last 3 games. They only drew with Leeds at home before that. So they are on a bad run. But I think they are probably like us, looking at the fixtures coming up and saying, right, there's no reason why we cannot win these. But of course, they've progressed as well.
I think for Villa, they fancy themselves. They are favourites, and with Emery's record, they'll fancy themselves to win the Europa League, and that gets them into the Champions League. So I think that Europa League campaign will be far and away their focus, and that might just let them save a player or two in some of these other games where they end up drawing and when they expect them to win. So that I think Villa are a little bit further ahead than Chelsea and Liverpool, I think, aren't they? Chelsea and Liverpool are the ones who are really dodgy. Neither of them are playing very well. Both the managers are being threatened with some sort of judgment day coming up because they're not playing so well.
You can throw a Liverpool in there as well with Klopp, of course.
Absolutely. Slot and Rezanoir have been heavily criticised. We've got to get past Brentford and Everton as well, but Brentford drew at home to Wolves. They're going to drop points. Of course, they'll drop
Brentford,
points in the games.
they're running. They've got Man U, City, and Liverpool out the top 6.
Right. So
And
they've only got to draw one of those to give us an opportunity to get up with them.
yeah, and Everton have got the small matter of a Liverpool derby. They've got Chelsea at home tomorrow, Liverpool derby, City, and the rest you could argue. But they've got to play Brentford, of course, so that's the two of them are playing each other, so only one of them can get a point there. So one of them's going to be dropping points. Maybe even hopefully.
Well, I did that a predictor when you did predict all results for all the teams, and I was trying to be realistic, and I didn't have anybody losing at home to teams they shouldn't lose at home to, but they do play each other a lot up there, and they take points off each other. And when I put our 7 wins out of the last 8 games in, it finished us in 4th, which is why I've got a little bet on us to finish in the top 4, in the top 5, and then in the top 6. Because I think I do think this is the run. We're on it. We've already won 2 really tough Premier League matches on this run. And then there's some very, very winnable games coming up. I know Arsenal's there in the middle of it, but you never know that if we manage to scrape a draw there or something, it'll be a point more than I've got for us finishing 4th.
Yeah, the way I do it when there was, and I did the same thing last season and got 4 out of 6 spot on, and the other 2 just switched around, is I give all of the teams in the top 10 3 points against, there's no draws here. I give them 3 points against the teams in the bottom 10, and I give them 3 points for home games against the mid 7, and no points for away games against the mid 7, and no points at all when they play any of the top 3. And the top 3 at the time I did this was Arsenal, Villa, and Chelsea, City, Arsenal, City, and Villa, and that's the algorithm built in the spreadsheet I do, and it was pretty accurate last season. And right now, according to that, we've got Arsenal on 85 points. Who's that? City on 76. 76. That's 2 teams on 72 there, which is Man U and Villa both on 72. And then us on 63. Sorry, no, I missed that out. Liverpool 64, us on 63. So that
Darren's got us finishing 8th or 9th, he reckons. I hope I'm right and you're wrong, Darren. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
And Boki's asking whether we should include the Barcelona game in this great run that we're on. Well, I would say you can include the first game as a great performance where we should have won, we drew. And I think nobody at half time could have spotted that coming because we played so well in the first half. So,
well,
yeah,
Boki himself
errors,
in the comments. Come on, we can get something out of this. And that was when we were 3-2 down, so Boki knows.
No. I think Boki gets bored a little bit and he just wants to put a few hand grenades out there to try
he likes to throw
cajole us into responding. But we know Boki's a Newcastle fan and he really, really, really wants us to win. So all of it. If we can get, I told him on Tuesday night to get on at 150 to 1 to back us to finish 4th. I don't know if he's risked the fiver or not, but
I think that's, it just, even for me, that is super, super optimistic because you're relying on.
I know, but look, I think it's possible to do 4th, which means that 5th and 6th must be doable.
Well, I think certainly 6th is doable. 5th is relying on, some of the games. It's relying on the Premier League being the Premier League,
which it has been all season.
All season, exactly.
So why not?
Why not? Indeed, a rule.
And it's not like when we were battling last couple of years. Do you remember when we were trying to finish? But the year we finished seventh, where Chelsea and Man U just kept winning.
Yeah.
You know, and then last year as well. I think it was Villa that was picking the points up to come after us, and the referee saved us when they played away at Man U for us to get through 1 goal difference. So there aren't teams around us that are on that sort of run. I think it's Newcastle that's making that sort of run this year. So we'll see.
Yeah.
It's
but
just seen on
meanwhile,
that ticket coming along, by the way, which wasn't mentioned in it. This England squad that's come out: Gordon, Byrne, Tino, Lewis Hall, and Aaron Ramsdale. According to this, is that right?
Wow.
Might be, because Trafford hasn't been playing very much, and he certainly wouldn't pick Nick Pope. So he needs a third choice keeper. Has Ramsdale been called up to the England squad?
There we go. Let me have a look. England football.
Oh, he's named
Uruguay
5
and
goalkeepers.
Uruguay and Japan.
Great radio this while Wynn does his
Yeah.
research.
Well, it's not even. Would you believe it's not even on the England's own website? It's
All
not
right.
on.
Well, if it's just leaked rubbish, then you can't rely on it at all.
Mm.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, BBC. Here we go.
Henderson, Pickford, Trafford, Ramsdale, Steele. 5 goalkeepers in the squad. Good grief. We're only playing twice, aren't we?
Yeah, Uruguay and who did it just say? "13 new players in the squad." Right, here we go. Got it. Goalkeepers: Ramsdale, Steele. These are the players who were not in the last squad. Ramsdale and Steele of Brighton. Defenders: Lewis Hall, Tino Livramento, and Anthony Gordon, who weren't in the last squad. So the full squad that we've got in, as you say, is Aaron Ramsdale, Dan Byrne, Lewis Hall, Tino Livramento, that's 3. Elliot Anderson, that's 4. Oh, no, sorry, he doesn't play for us anymore. And Anthony Gordon. Yeah. It's not bad. Not that they'll all get a game, I don't suspect. Who's, just out of interest, who's Dan Byrne up against? Mark Gee, Conser, Harry Maguire. John Stones and Tomori. Aye, so he won't get a game.
It's the last chance to have a look at these players, though, isn't it, before he pulls his World Cup squad out?
Yeah. Going to be interesting. Do you think Ramsdale is playing anywhere near well enough to? I mean, Pickford's number 1. I think we all would accept that. But do you think
Pickford is
Trafford
number
is
1.
in, by the way. Dean
Yeah.
Henderson, Jordan Pickford, James Trafford, Aaron Ramsdale, and the 5th member is Jason Steele of Brighton. I wonder if Jason Steele is any relation to Gary Steele, who played in goal for Newcastle.
My word. Why would that pop into your head? Do I think that Ramsdale's playing well enough to be picked
Because I'll
for
be
England?
perfectly
Maybe.
honest, I don't think I've heard of Jason Steele.
Ramsdale's played well in the last few games. I mean, he let 7 in at Barcelona, but when Michael and I were doing his scores, we didn't actually have him down as fault for any of them. I mean, he was just, he was set up by his defence.
He was born in Newton
Really do much
Aycliffe.
about it.
Born in Newton Aycliffe, so he's a local-ish, but I thought it probably would have mentioned there if he's father was a goalie, and it doesn't, so maybe not coincidence. I'll check that one out, though. I will.
If there are
check that one
any
out.
more, if there are any more members watching who are even more of a Newcastle nerd than Win is, perhaps you know whether Jason Steele at Brighton is related to ex-Newcastle goalkeeper Harry Steele. When did he play, though?
I'm I've got a lot of years to work through. You know, I'm guessing about.
I
the
can't
70s.
remember him. I think it might have been way back even in the 60s, in which case he might be. Might be his granddad.
So, yeah. Yes, record.
Darren Lee saying that he's an ex-Middlesbrough player.
Why have I hit that wrong? Eh?
Anyway, Win.
Yeah. I'll look that up in time for tonight.
If it was Brian Cernacek that had been called up, then you might have had something based on the surnames, but Steele is a fairly common surname, isn't it? Come on.
Except Steele with an E.
Right.
So that was the only thing that kept us going there. Well, anything else that he said? A lot of psychological and physical work to do with the squad after that rout the other night.
He's clearly looking forward to being able to train week on week. Maybe we can see Voltemala being worked into a slightly different way of playing, so we can start seeing some return on 69 million that we paid for.
Andy did say that Voltemala's attitude, you know, obviously all players want to play, but his attitude in training, despite not playing, has been first class.
I feel I've got to say what Mick Bingley's just put down in the comments there. This bulky bloke is a numpty negative all the time. He's just clueless. There you go, Bulky. There's your fan base.
Oh, but that's slightly unfair because you can go through all of them and you'd get trolls and Dan Snowden and Connor and quite a few of them who agree with every word he says, to be fair.
That's fair. Well, I had to read that one.
Because they're a load of numpties.
Well, I had to read that one out because I thought it was quite an astute comment.
Mark Slavin saying, I have us finishing on 57 points based on results in the remaining fixtures over the last 5 seasons. Interesting. The only one I didn't have data for was Sunderland, so I guessed 3 points.
Well, yeah, there are one or two bogey teams in there that, you know, I mean, I'm saying we're going to beat Bournemouth at home, and I did sit watching us lose heavily, 4-1, I think, last year when we played Bournemouth at home. So,
Fulham,
yeah, I've ignored that.
Fulham away as well, and Palace, of course, have always been a bit of a up and down team for us, especially at Selhurst Park.
We just need some momentum to mean that we're getting our best result in the year or two in all of these games. But it's possible. There, look at that. Grandad played for Newcastle. Jason Steele's granddad played for Newcastle. Darren Lee.
Oh, she's granddad.
Saying, yes. So Darren Lee saying you're right, and of course you were wrong because you said it was his dad, but I said it's probably his granddad. So thanks, Darren. I'm right.
Well,
in the same way that Bulky's always right, I'm always right.
Right then, where are we? New players now realise. By the way, if you can believe anything he says about injuries, Miley, Bruno, and Fabian will be fit for.
Fab Shah's a great news. I thought that was going to be much later.
Yeah, well, they said April originally, didn't they? So, but he's been on the grass for a while now, of course. But anyway, they reckon they'll all be in contention for Palace, and the Tonali, his injury isn't as bad as was feared. So he's obviously had the scan now, and they've examined it and realised it's not as bad as they thought it may have been. What else did he said? For our supporters, for the city, we know when the fixtures came out, this was the one in the mind of everybody. We have to play for all of our people in this game, showing passion with control and quality. Oh, that was another good question that was asked, by the way. I think that was Luke Edwards, wasn't it? The first tackle.
Oh, yes.
Which Eddie kind of tried to brush aside, but he wasn't having any, and he went back in. And he says, no, he says, I can assure you the crowd are waiting for that first tackle going in. And what happens when that tackle goes in could be very indicative of the way the game goes. And Eddie kind of calmed it down, said, look, we want passion, but not at the expense of control.
Controlled, we do.
Controlled passion was what he said, yeah. Okay, folks, well, that's it. We will see you later on tonight with the gun to the Toon, and we'll have some fun then, as usual. Come and join us. In the meanwhile, thank you all for joining us. Smash the like if you haven't already done so. Share, comment, subscribe, become a member, all that good stuff, and we will see you later on. Ciao, ciao.
You are listening to NUFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army, live daily on the website, on YouTube, on BAB, and on